Thank you so much for tuning in. As ever, my name is Greg Benevent. I'm welcoming you to another Digital Mota podcast, a live podcast. It's live to us. It's not live to you, maybe. But for the first time, we have an audience. We have wonderful guests. MJ Biz Con has been fantastic. We've met so many people. We've worked with so many people, and we'd like to introduce one of them to you right now. Urena, hello. Thanks for coming on here.
Thank you.
This is great. Please tell the folks and me just something, a little bit about who you are and what you've done for us so far with us the last couple days.
Okay, so my name is Urena Serna, and I am the CEO of Omni Models. I do a lot of model coordination, 420 friendly fashion shows and events. Primarily, we book conventions and trade shows. That's how I met Danny. We're 420 friendly as well. Let me see, what else could I say?
Well, that's plenty. That's a lot, and I mean, I want to say that just to someone that's new to this entire thing, like it's one thing for her that she says like, we book models for this thing, but really, it's not like your models just stand there. I mean, you could talk about some of all the different things that your models have done with us, even just the last 48 hours, which is crazy to me that all these people do this much work. Frankly, if you could just talk a little bit about that, like.
So they hand out all of the flyers and materials, anything that is a giveaway. They talk about the brand. They are collecting business cards. We have a model assistant this time who is literally carried a TV for us today.
I was going to get to that eventually, yes.
In heels.
All the physical labor that we've imposed upon them,
taking photos, doing videos to promote the brand, and just all around just talking about what Digital Mota is and how they do their advertising.
Wow. Okay. So because it's one more aspect of advertising, one more thing that we offer at Digital Mota is to be able to work with models and that kind of stuff. If you could just talk a little bit about, because I know this isn't necessarily the first time you've been in and around Digital Mota. If you could talk a little bit about what we do and how you've interacted with that and some of how it all connects. Because I mean that's something I've just learned just going around here today is how much all of this stuff kind of intersects.
Oh yeah. So Digital Mota is a digital marketing agency for basically anything online. They do SEO, websites, and like print advertising like this with all different ads and stuff.
We tried to put as much of this stuff out as possible for you to see it while
they actually do a lot, a lot of stuff. The way that I met them though, they were doing a promotional shoot for their brand here in Las Vegas, and so that's how I came across Digital Mota myself. Was I started out as one of their models, and then from there I just kind of talked to Danny and told him what I do, and we just networked and worked together now. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. I was struck by as you're saying that, like, okay, we started doing this one thing, and then we networked and we worked, and then you work together now, and that seems to be kind of so much the story of this event of what MJ Biz Con really is.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could talk a little bit about just what it's like being around this thing, because I do these and I write for the company and all that, but I felt just like walking around, I learned so much about how different things that are going on here. If you could talk just a little bit about your experience at the con.
So MJ Biz Con is more like the business side of the marijuana business. So you'll find your cultivators, your growers, people, banks that work with cannabis companies that make your life easier as a cannabis business. Pretty much anything on the business end, anything you can think of that you would do with a regular business. Now that cannabis has been legalized in so many different places, and they're looking to start marketing that. Now those services are now becoming available to the cannabis industry.
And you cannot stress enough just how many different kinds of aspects there are to the business part of it now. I mean, it just I just walking around, I was just so struck by the different, like there's people selling Cutco knives are here. Like there's the LED lights for inside.
Pre-roll machines.
Yes, like all these different things.
The machine that brings the pre-rolls down the line.
I don't even think I saw that one.
Yeah, they do.
I was
they
going
have
around. It's just been a great experience just being in and around and connecting all these different people on these things. And I guess if you could talk a little bit, I was at the beginning when you introduced yourself, you talked about being 420 friendly, your agency is, and 420 friendly events. I mean, it seems like from what it's almost like you're at the forefront of this kind of thing, just seeing how so much has changed in the last year. If you could just talk a little bit about some of the transition you've seen, maybe even since you just started your agency, like.
Well, starting out, at putting cannabis models out was really stigmatized because it was a bad image. A lot of agencies didn't even, especially modeling agencies, didn't actually want to have models that were working in the cannabis industry.
Oh,
you
geez.
couldn't represent a brand without it making you technically look bad, right? And they thought of it more as a thing that would lower your chances of getting booked with them. So that's why they didn't actually want you to do that.
Oh, wow.
But since that's where I started, but since then, I mean, we've come from like underground cannabis events to being able to have a cannabis friendly event. You still can't smoke, inside.
Oh,
the
you can't
venue
even smoke
just
in
yet.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're still cannabis friendly where they're promoting 420 friendly brands in general, and now we can do those at places like the Sapphire Strip Club. You can do them on the strip at, pretty much any venue as long as they know what's going on.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think right now it's a great time. I just heard that they opened a cannabis lounge at New Woo, and you
Okay.
can go in there and have like infused foods, and you can also smoke inside of there as
Oh,
well.
wow.
I think it's the first cannabis lounge that is open, if
Okay,
I'm not
like
mistaken.
in this, like you mean like
Yeah,
in the
Las
Vegas,
Vegas.
Nevada area?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, it's come a long way. I mean, for going completely underground where it was private and you had to get like a text message with the address, to being able to like make a flyer and post it and promote it is really cool.
Wow. Okay, so I mean that now I'm totally fascinated by this. Okay, so you were in this industry at the point where still some sketchy person sending you a text like, "Hey, come to this spot. This is where the event is."
Yes, yes. One time I even went to an interview. It was a dispensary, but it was just
Okay.
a blank building with a door, and you
Ugh.
walked in, and there's like a gate, and there's like one person with like this little window this big, and they told me that if I worked there and the police came in, it was all on me to get in and get out. And I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do that. Yeah.
And that was like part of the interview, like that was.
Yeah,
the
that
beginning?
was a part of the job. They let you know
Okay.
right up front, like what they were doing and how they were doing it, and it was kind of up to you if you wanted to take the money. They were paying cash as well, so it
Okay.
was kind of that was like your first dispensary. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
It was still like very underground and low key, and then I mean, well, now we have dispensaries with big names and on billboards.
Oh yeah, no. Some of the things,
Yeah.
some of these places they have, these are worldwide corporations.
Yeah.
And I was struck by though, as shady and strange as that was, with them like saying to you like, "Hey, you get busted by the cops." How much better that is than the alternative of them just letting you be busted and not telling you.
Yeah,
like,
that's
yeah, then it's
true.
on you. Like
Yeah.
as bad as that would be.
Yeah.
It's so interesting you say that because it's a theme we've had today on the podcasts here. As I was talking to a payment processor who was
Yeah.
here a few hours ago, and what he said almost mirrored what you said exactly about how the stigma of this industry and how it absolutely, and it makes it more difficult in some cases, and that's why his job works. Is
Yeah.
because they can they provide merchant services in a way that aren't. I guess my question then, kind of going off of that, is you're somebody that's obviously very immersed in this. You're a part of it. Like where. I guess it's twofold. Like, where do you see it going next, and where would you like to see it going next? There, right now.
That's
Not to
a
put you totally on the spot. I mean,
question.
it just feels like I just felt like I should ask something other than just about your past. I mean,
That's
now
great.
I'm playing to the crowd.
Well,
but
with
yeah.
that, I
Right,
mean, I think a lot of the things that I always wish to see are kind of already coming into fruition, like the
Oh, that's
cannabis
great.
lounges. I always would like, for my birthday specifically, like I do like to drink,
Okay.
but I would prefer to smoke if I could. So I would love
Gotcha.
to have like a smoking party somewhere. New Woo is now a place you can do that. So I think like cannabis lounges are really neat. Where do I see it going? I feel like it's going to be more of a normal thing for everybody,
Okay.
like kind of normalized.
That makes a lot of sense.
It still does have a little bit of a stigma, you know what I mean? Like that kind of doesn't really go away, but I think eventually with time it will, and people won't just think of smokers as stoners. We're all pretty smart, and we obviously have a lot of businesses. We're all making a lot of money, right?
No, that's a really good point. That's 100% right. I mean, as you were saying that, I was thinking like, what would it take for all of that stigma to disappear? And I almost wonder if it's like, if it really is a time thing, like it's not just a business thing, like almost that generation, the generation that rises where, hey, this is just something else that happens when you get a
Yeah.
certain age, you become a part of it. I mean, I remember I was one time, you know, it was a friend of mine. We were putting on a show, and it was for and there were some kids there, and there was someone doing like a weed act where they talked about, you know, marijuana a lot. And my friend was like, "Should we tell the kids this?" And I said, "Look, these are kids. This to them, this isn't going to be something bad. Like it's going to be like alcohol was to us at a certain point." It'll get up there to that. And okay, I this is something I rarely get to ask people on these podcasts. So I'm so glad to be able. No. I have asthma, so I do almost no smoking of any kind whatsoever.
Okay.
I you know, and I'm terrified of edibles that they're going to have sugar in them, and I'll have to buy a bigger shirt. But what is it? But you're obviously someone that understands this kind of thing. Like if you could talk to us just a little bit about some of your favorites or some stuff that you enjoy, or what, you know. I mean, you mentioned wanting to have your party, your birthday party, a place that involves smoking. I'm like, okay, this is someone that knows what they're talking about.
Yeah,
so if you,
yeah.
And I do not. So if you could tell a little bit about the viewers, you know, some favorites of yours there, Urena.
Well, I love to smoke, of course, dry herb, pre-rolls, a bowl, a bong, a pen, that works too. I also love edibles as well. I don't really take them as much because for me with edibles, it kind of makes me feel a little bit more tired, especially if it has like a higher CBD percentage.
Okay.
But I do love topicals. That's my all-time favorite, which is going to be like your creams, like lotions. You can put those for pains, muscle pains, you know, aches. I love the bath bombs. They now have CBD bath bombs.
There's a CBD bath bomb. Okay.
Yeah, you can put them in the bath, and it you know, makes you a CBD bath, and your whole body is relaxed. Kind of like a lavender bath and soak type of thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I always learn something whenever we do any of these. That's fascinating to me. Well, that's. I mean, I've run out of questions to ask you. I feel like you've covered everything with your.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you'd like to say, or any like last lingering thoughts that you'd like to give the people watching, both in person and on the internet there?
I guess just. Let me see, just kind of going back to what I said earlier. My name is Urena, and I'm the CEO of Omni Models. You can find us on Instagram, booking.omni. And yeah, just follow us to see the journey and all of the fun things that we do here in Vegas and in California.
Cool. All right. Well, that's all I had. I mean, I guess you folks can shout out some questions if you'd like for Urena. I feel like we covered a whole lot of it. But yes, on behalf of Digital Mota, it was great meeting you. It really was.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
My name is Greg Benevent. Take it easy. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay.